So, we will start with our first session. And this session will be focusing on the future-orientated business models for tour operators navigating through market changes in the context of price and demand shifts. This is what we are talking about. And here I will have on the stage with me, first of all, Roland Gassner. He is a business director, business development and travel data and analytics. He will give us a short impact and a short insight in the market situation overall. Roland, I would like to ask you to get over to this place, as well as I would like to introduce my panelists to you. So first of all, I would like to ask you, Karl Markgraf, to get on the stage and take a seat, so we can listen afterwards to Roland. And I would say, if he wants to start here, to sit here. Karl Markgraf, he is CEO of the FTE Group. We will also have on the stage Sabine Jordan-Glab, CEO at Vitours. Also. Okay, then we will have with us Francis Torilla, CEO at Der Touristic UK. And I welcome Paul Bixby, CCO at EasyJet Holidays. Welcome to the stage. So, and as Roland is already on stage, he will start, give us a short impression about the market situation in the tour operator business, and afterwards we will have a fine discussion.
Markus.
Sorry, this one again.
That's mine now. Okay. That's great. Good morning. Hope you are fine. If I would walk into the room now and ask for your favorite ice cream, what do you think would come in mind first? Is it hazelnut? Is it vanilla, chocolate? Of course, with your wide range of different flavors, but following official statistics, vanilla, strawberry, chocolate are still the best sellers. It's a pleasure for me to give this keynote today, and I'm from TDA, a business analyst company, and we based our business on daily measured booking data, and we transformed this data to reports, representative market reports, which are serviced to tour operators, airliners, airports, and DMOs. Let's do a first step deeper into the market environment. And of course, we are aware that we are living in a hard world, in a world with multiple crises, and I don't want to go deeper into details. Everyone knows this, and the most important for us, of course, is that we have environmental challenges, what we have to address, and on the other side, the global political surface is quite depressing at the moment. Worst of all is that things which happened maybe on the same way 30 years ago, now we get refreshed every day as the news of the day by digital media on your screen, and it doesn't stop. It doesn't stop. 30 years ago, you left behind your newspaper and the day was made. Now it's different. You get it every second if you want, if you open the screen again. The question is, how does this press, this kind of sentiment, influence consumers, the sentiment of the consumer, and the wish and the desire to travel? Is it that consumer climate is showing the negative trend for this year, or is it just another kind of expression that people don't feel good and lucky with the situation? At the moment, we can say that job losses are not at that extent affecting consumers like the supposed recession doesn't tell it and show it. I found myself questioning, preparing this speech, how could it be? The sentiment is so bad, so many bad news, and Germans do travel. They travel and they spend in 2023 money for traveling, for holidays, at a level scratching the top levels from the pre-pandemic times. And we saw this recovery after the pandemic, of course, stimulated by money set aside and the willingness, the wish, the desire to travel again without restrictions after 3 years of the pandemic. The recovery for 2024 and the booking data by end of January are showing just increasing figures. It will go up, and I start with the domestic, the individual market, the complementary product to the tour operator market, with the increases of sales by 13% in booking level and 9% by persons. And this together with an increase of prices, of course, smoother than the last year, but there is still an increase. We go on with cruises and highly pre-protest market, a typical tour operator product where we see increases with double digits after last year from 20 to 25%, and we are going on with 33% by sales and 34% by travelers. That's amazing. Be aware, the prices in this market are stable this year. It means there is a certain kind of level reached. On the other hand, with the study and round trips with increases of 34%, 40%, and increases prices, that's due to the recovery from the pandemic still. We were last year certain destinations in the Pacific space and other destinations were closed, so there is a short delay in the recovery, but we see it this year. And at the end, the most important product, the bread and butter product for tour operating, of course, the pre-packaged holiday with flight, mostly in Germany to the coast of the Mediterranean Sea, with the increasing prices, smoother than last year, but still increases from 24% by sales and 20% by travelers, which is amazing after the 3 years, what we have seen, and the bad press, which we can read every day. Let's see which factors do influence this kind of desire to travel. And of course, the most important point is, are people affected by the crisis? And we see that the employment situation in Germany at the moment is quite stable. Still, we hope it will go on like this, and the desire to travel is very high, without any doubt. And so people do travel, and other factors, what we discuss often in forums like purchasing power, prices. Yes, of course, it's important, the price increase, but there are shifts which we can make, shorter duration, or maybe other destinations, but at the end, the wish of traveling is the most important for the travel industry, and that's given. Let's go on. And one driver of growth, of course, is one very fundamental information, the demographic change in the society, in European societies, in German especially. Many of the baby boomers are coming now in a phase of the life where they have worked for 20, 30 years, they have made their wealth. People are out of the houses now, and why should these people now stop to travel? Of course not. They've learned to do twice, 3 times, 4 times a year their trips, and they did it often still with tour operators, and of course they will go on with this behavior. And beside of the traditional behavior of spending holiday in summer in Mallorca or Canarian or Creta, this time now for the next year, 10 years will be characterized by elder people who want to do their once-in-a-life trip. So this is, from my point of view, an amazing perspective and driver for the travel industry, especially for the pre-packing industry, because these people have learned to to travel with tour operators, and of course they will go on with this, and they have money, they have saved time, and they are willing to travel. So let's come to the end, a short recap. What's important for the industry? Of course, there are pillars like the demographic change. We have on the other hand the global competition, which is entering more and more to local markets by technology. We have the wish of more individuality by the persons, by the consumers who have a very high experience behind. And on the other hand, we have a technology development which is accelerating the processes. And the question from my side is, in many companies, we see still silos, production silos, and communication silos orientated to the consumer. Is maybe AI the driver to bringing together these two silos and to starting a new transformation process driven by technology in the companies? I'm looking forward to your questions and hope that we will find an answer.
Thank you. Thank you, Roland. I think as time is running, we are going on with the questions on the panel. I would have to check afterwards. Yes, if there are questions you can ask. We will have also possibility later on for Slido, but I think now we can start on the stage over here. Yes, Roland just told us the future is not so bad, I would say, and specifically the people traveling within the next 20 years or 10 years, 10, 15 years, well, it's looking like the business is quite stable. I would like to ask you very quickly, just two or three sentences about your business models, because well, when we asked you to join the panel, it was a specific. We had something in mind because all of you four, you have different business models in different ways. So perhaps you can just start from your side, just explain in 2-3 sentences what you're doing and what your specialist aspects are.
Yep. I suppose in the UK, we focus more on the individuality of the businesses. So we've got 7 businesses in the UK, and they're all run very independently of each other. So although we're a group of businesses, each business is its own legal entity, has its own management structure, its own systems. We realized very early on that by actually keeping them separate and independent, the businesses were more successful. Having come from a background where we used to integrate businesses into the parent and the challenges that brought, we worked out for ourselves in the UK that this is really the way for us to drive the business forward.
Great. So we have one specialist. Carl, your business.
Yeah, our business is focused in 3 business units. So we have a business unit tour operator, which is the largest one, taking care of around 3.4 billion euro revenue. Then we have the hotels, so we operate own hotels. Exactly, we do operate 54 hotels. That's the second business unit, taking care of roughly 300 million euros. And then we have the DMCs, so in total we have 18 DMCs taking care of our guests, of course operating for other tour operator colleagues as well. And then we have inside the tour operator, we have various parts, so different segments. One is Windrose, it's more for the luxury traveling, so based here in Berlin. Then we have U-Travel focusing on the UK, so the Bad Bank and some other smaller companies as well. So in total, it's one group operating in 3 business units.
But the core business is still, I would say, the traditional tour operator business, coming up with the other parts of your group. And what you will tell us afterwards, I think you are in a very interesting transformation process. We come back to this in a few minutes. Sabine, you are as CEO of V-Tours, your business model.
Yes, we are a tour operator, a package tour operator. We started out 20 years ago in dynamic packaging. This is no longer a USP, no. So we developed further on, and now we are purchasing about 70% of our portfolio in flights and hotels. So we are a dynamic packaging tour operator combined with a classic one with all advantages we have, the flexibility we have in dynamic packaging. And since 4 years we belong to the Hotelplan Group in Switzerland.
Great. Paul.
Hi everyone. So with EasyJet Holidays, it's effectively a holiday company, a tour operator within an airline. The unique aspects of EasyJet Holidays, I would say, is we have a fleet of over 330 aircraft, which is already providing one of the biggest leisure networks out of the UK and several other countries. But one of the other big enablers is probably the low cost of customer acquisition, because of EasyJet has around 350 million unique visitors onto its website every year, and all we're trying to do is effectively sweat the asset of the flights even further into the holiday company with the tour operator, and trying to move those people from buying a flight only into a holiday.
So Paul, I would like to start with you for the next round. So you just explained you as a tour operator, as I understood so far, are driven from the perspective of an airline a little bit, but also from the hotel perspective. What would you say, what's the big difference to the other tour operators?
I think it's probably a bit of a hybrid in the fact that the holidays business doesn't decide where the planes fly from and to, but it is predominantly a leisure network. We have 38 million seats flying in and out of the UK to leisure destinations. And all we are doing effectively is attaching that. So 65% of our sales are through directly contracted hotels. So we have the relationships with the suppliers in the destination, and that's key to the model. And that's where it hasn't worked previously before, because you need to match that supply, and good supply, the supply that customers want, with those leisure flying. And this is really testament to the model, because there are so many other tour operators that actually use EasyJet flying to actually service their own product. So we are doing that, but in a vertically integrated way. And
it makes much sense, I guess?
Makes much sense.
Makes good money, yes, I guess.
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah, great. So, quite interesting. So Sabine just heard about the supply and what you have in your connections with the network you're working with. You as a more dynamic-driven tour operator, what is your point you are trying to make in your business model?
Yes, we are a dynamic tour operator combined with a normal package tour operator, a classic tour operator. We have 70% of our portfolio we're purchasing by ourselves, hotels and flights. So we can combine both worlds, the flexibility of a normal tour operator with a dynamic one. So we have all advantages for the clients looking for. Yes.
Okay, sounds interesting. So you think, as your mother Hotelplan is also coming on plan now, more and more, so you will change with the dynamic parts of the model a little bit in terms of getting a little bit more to a pre-package or to a traditional tour operator model as well?
Yes, we do at the moment. We have already done. We have a central purchasing organization. We have, all the advantages we get from the Hotelplan Group. We have increased in V-Tours as well, so we can use synergies of both worlds.
Okay, great. Carl, I mean, we know a little bit better already, some time now already, and I know you are in a big transformation process with the FTI group. So you just mentioned about the 3 big parts of the FTI group, and as I recognize from outside a little bit, you have a traditional tour operator model, but it's very much driven from the DMC organization. So how do you get in the transformation right now? What are you doing, and how are you proceeding?
Yeah, maybe to answer that, I need to be a bit more fundamental. So if you look in the travel industry, so the EBITDA margin, or which you are getting out of the revenue, and the revenue is good for all of us, I guess, it's too less. So if you compare that with other industries, not only the software business or the automotive industry, we are really poor. We are on a very, very low level, and we started a bit our discussion there. What should we do? Because obviously FTI can't shape the market, or we can't change. We are not number one. You can shape a market if you are number one. We are not number one. We are number 3 in Europe. So therefore, we need to think differently, and that is what we did. We said, okay, we need to focus more, not on market share, on having a bigger portfolio. We need to focus more on cost structures, processes, systems, and that is where we started. And we said, okay, we need to streamline that, and we need to come to one group thinking, and we need to invest. And one of the examples of Roland was a bit that technology-driven strategy, which we did. And then we said, and that's very easy as manager, and you don't need to be a touristic experienced manager. So where do you want to stay in 27? And we have a lot of burden. Everyone reads that. Everyone knows that. We need to get rid of the burden, but we need to know where we want to be in 27. And that is what we scheduled. That is what we did in a lot of workshops with the management team, with the new management team. And then we derived a total structured transformation roadmap where probably 80% of all that what we are doing is technology driven. And that is what we are doing at the moment. We are bringing the FTI group to one process, one group based on technology, and of course reducing our cost structure to increase the EBITDA level. And that's very complex, so we have 60 projects. We have a transformation team reporting into the CEO. We have various transformations discussions with the owners. So we integrated every stakeholder you can read in the press. And that is what we are doing. And we are believing we are on the right side, because if you want to shape the market, you must be number one. We will not be number one. We are not in the position yet. Everything is not looking that we are in a position like number one, and we don't have the aspiration. So we need to look more inside, more in that what we can improve to have really a proper EBITDA, which ensures that FTI comes into a good and healthy future. So that is the strategy we are doing on a very high level.
Sounds very interesting, specifically the point with the EBITDA, and this brings me to Francis. When I started in the industry, I learned the best money are making the specialist. Is it still like this?
Mostly, yes. And that's the different business models, and that's the beauty, I suppose, that a group like ours has, that we have the mainstream in Germany, if you will, which is strong and is going through a similar process, I suppose, as FTI is at the moment as well, trying to work closer together. But when it comes to the UK, we're very much a disparate group of businesses, and the focus there is very much on EBITDA. That is that's all we target, really. As a group. But in order to be successful, in order for these businesses to generate the EBITDA, that we want as a group, it's a case of identifying, well, what is it that the customers want? Roland mentioned the demographic and the boomers. To be honest, the boomers aren't a problem. The boomers are traveling, the boomers are spending. For us, the biggest challenge is the millennials. How are we going to get the millennials to actually come into our business, and start understanding what we can provide for them? Going forward into holidays. And we've worked out that, yes, knowledge, maybe 10 years ago, people used to come to the specialist business because we had the knowledge, of the destinations. Nowadays, you can find as much knowledge on Wikipedia as you can, that we have. So the key for us now is service. How do we convince these customers that we are providing a service for them? And we all have that in all different areas of our business or of our spend. If you go to a restaurant and they deliver a good service, you're likely to go back again. And it's the same principle. So the idea of specialization starts maybe with product or destinations, but ultimately the only thing that keeps you there is the service that you provide to your customers.
But as we got also to a point in the pre-discussion upfront, the business in the tourism industry is mainly driven by IT, not only IT, but also people for sure. But the transformation process we are discussing today is also driven by IT. So you as a specialist, what are you doing with the IT? Because I guess it's quite difficult to get the economies of scale if you try to refurbish or to renew your IT strategy or your IT's surrounding or landscape. What are you doing as a specialist?
We're not doing anything. We don't believe in economies of scale. To be honest, it's not what drives our businesses. Our businesses are very different in their own right. We have gone down this route. And, when as a group we bought Carrier in 2008 in the UK, which is very high-end, very luxury, we felt, okay, maybe there's synergies here with Crony, and forced a system on them, forced central buying on them, and it was totally the wrong thing to do. It took us 3 years to get Carrier back to the EBITDA that it was generating pre-purchase. But we got it back by giving them the independence to be able to choose the systems that were right for their business, not the systems that were cheapest because we had so many users on it. So it's very much thinking about the business as individual businesses and what it is that those businesses need in order to be successful and deliver the EBITDA. Now, I know this won't work everywhere, obviously, and it doesn't work in big package tour operations. I've been there as well, and the model would never work. But when you have individual small businesses, my advice is you bought them for a reason, keep them separate.
Good. So, Paul, are you already on a way to the volume producer, or are you a kind of specialist? I guess not.
No, we are a volume producer. I think that it is still very early stages. In respect of your question in terms of transformation, we're quite lucky in the fact it is a young business. It's only 5 years old. 2 of those were just spent during COVID. So we don't have legacy processes that can bog or pull you down. I think for me there are two things we're really focusing on in the short term. One is, especially in the UK market, we're seeing quite a big move from online desktop into booking on apps. App, I think, has seen a huge growth over the last 12 months in terms of people wanting to book on an app as opposed to a desktop or a tablet. So we need to make sure that we have the same or similar characteristics or even better in terms of a UX journey on that app. And I think the other one is the behavior of hoteliers now. The hoteliers, they see that there is multiple ways to distribute their product now. They don't need to rely on 1 or 2 big tour operators. They have the enabling technology through channel managers, whether they do it directly, to be able to distribute their product as they see fit and then take advantage of that, whether it's in a bull market or a bear market, to maximize their revenue. And I think we need to make sure that we have that technical capability to surface those products.
Cool. So what is a specific KPI for you if you are talking about growth?
I think for us, we've got 2 that we really focus on. One is our attachment rate. And what I mean by attachment rate is how many seats are occupied by people who buy holidays. At the moment, that currently stands at a mighty 4%. And we're doing about 2 million passengers. So you can see the size of the opportunity. 4% of the total capacity of EasyJet is taken up by holidays customers. And the other one is, people think synonymous with EasyJet, cheap, but it's customer. CSAT for us is very important. And we're ensuring that has a digital first approach for our customers. We don't have reps or representatives in destination. We do have destination management companies that support us, but we are definitely digital first in our approach. And the reason for that CSAT approach is similar to what the guy said, is it's the likelihood to rebook. And that's the cheapest way you can acquire a customer, because you don't have to pay for them to come into the booking journey.
Great. Sabine, I think the dynamic production model in Germany and all over Europe, I guess, was in the beginning the driver for the change in the industry. What do you see in your process of transformation? What are the big challenges right now?
Yeah, we're looking also on some KPIs on the market demand at all first. Then on the product level, which product in the destination are developing and how, which hotel portfolio is on demand. Here we work very closely with our destination management agencies together, and how our airline partner performs, how they develop. Can they still offer the quality we're looking for, which is that the quality we needed for the packages are 20 kilos, for example, baggage allowance up to date, or do we have to add lower fares? Then, of course, the price elasticity. How does the demand develop due to price adaptations on the market with different destinations to different season times? And yeah, what flexibility does the customer want when he book? Yeah, how much personal service is needed on the several touch points? Does he need a human service, or can we do an automatic service with support of AI? Yeah, and on the sales market, which sales markets are developing and how is the balance between online and online sales and sales through travel agencies still in balance? What have we do, or must we do to keep this balance between travel agents and OTAs? And at the end, we look at the NPS score. How is the satisfaction of our clients, of our travel agencies?
Cool. So, Carl, if we talk about the satisfaction of travel agents, I think FTE has also your business model is based on the travel agency sales organizations in the past. So what are you doing in terms of digitization on customer verification and differentiation, and also the flexibility you could also have on the direct sales perspectives as well on the agency sides? Are you focusing a little bit on this in your changing processes?
Yeah, it's one focus. So the customer is, of course, utmost important for us as well. I mean, we have all that NPS discussion for the hotels. I think still at FTI a longer way to go. I mean, if you look at all the ratings and the feedback you're getting, not only from Holiday Check or from others, internal sources, so it's something we can do definitely better, and I'm very much involved personally in the customer journey, in that what we can do better coming from the call centers, but of course pre-sales as well. And we need to admit very, very strongly, if you look at our just B2C platforms, they're not good at all. So we need to improve that. That is one of the top strategy. It starts that we are offering DMC services already with the time of the booking or not later, or with somebody showing up in the hotel. So that is something where we are probably years behind of a normal industry, and that is what we are catching up. But it's for me as well a bit more the mindset we need to change. So when you do a transformation like that, everything is criticized by press and maybe internal stakeholders as well. Why? Because if you go on a transformation and you really want to renew a company from a technology perspective, is nothing you can do with one or two apps. You need to first change the mindset of the organization. You need to have the willingness of the people that they are really opening up, that they're collaborating across the boundaries, across the countries, work as one team, being very open in the headquarters. The CEO should be approachable, should work in a project. And the second is the commitment to the financial situation. And that is probably our biggest discussion we had. Because if you see a transformation from a tour operator into a more digital-oriented business model, you need 5 years and you need a fortune. And just one figure. So when I started, I was interested, what is the average industry, so the travel industry spending into IT and digitalization? It's always that part of the revenue, Normally you say 3.5 to 4%. It's for a modern organization a level you should have. So the travel industry, at least Accenture told me, and I believe in the data, is investing 1.5%. So 1.5%, far less than Mercedes or E.ON or whatever is investing. And then we looked a bit, what did we invest? The FTI group over the last 5 years into IT, and it was ridiculous. So it was below 1% of the revenue. And then it's no wonder that we stand there where we are. And so then it's a clear commitment needed over 5 years with possible investors, or with the management team, with, of course, the owner, with everyone who is involved. Do we want to do that or not? That is the significant question, and it starts there. And then, of course, you derive a bit the application strategy and the apps and all these things, but it's the second part. The first part is very, very fundamental. We decided on the first part. Not everyone likes that, that's okay, and it should not be liked by everyone, but we are going that way.
Cool. Francis, once more coming back, you told us it's the human touch you're working with in the specialist business. It's the service you provide to your customer, but you also mentioned the young people. You want to focus on the young people. Now, Carl just told us a little bit about the investments in IT. I come back on once more because you told us, well, we have a good running IT and that it's a little bit older, but it's fine like this. Do you think this is also the landscape of with which you can work in the future as well, or do you have to transform kind of business models just to also get to those young people, to the millennials you just mentioned?
It's evolution, I suppose, is what we need, with the system. Apps are important, as well, like Paul says, especially for millennials, and not so, even boomers, will use apps quite readily. But for us, it's more a case. I've been in the industry now, 40 years. I've still to find a system that satisfies the business needs. There are so many systems out there, but if you go to any business and you say, we've got this system and it's wonderful, that business will always find fault with that system. So ultimately, I think we need to stop talking about technology and about systems, and we just need to look at what do we need in order to deliver the business. Some functions will be delivered by systems and technology, and others will be delivered by people. But I think we need to focus more on what is it we're trying to achieve as opposed to how we're trying to achieve it. And it's easier with a small business, absolutely. If you only have a business that has 40 employees or 50 employees, then you don't need the same infrastructure or maybe legacy systems that some of the larger business did. And even within our group, the UK is relatively small. Der Touristik in Germany obviously is vast, and they'll have different challenges to us. But coming at it from the UK and from a small business perspective, then it's more a case of trying to run these businesses like they're owner managed, and therefore the solutions that come may not always be technology driven. We need technology. There's no way back from that. We definitely need technology, but we need to find the technology that works right for that individual business.
Okay. Paul, may I ask you one more question? Well, I think your business model is very interesting to us because we follow in the German industry since a few years Lufthansa Holidays. I think in former times it was Thomas Cook delivering Lufthansa Holidays. Now they changed with HLX. We do have some different approaches with Eurowings, for example. What does make your business model so exquisite, so unique for the future? Do we have to face in the future that all the airlines trying to sell their seats more valuable with combined packages?
I think it's an interesting perspective. I think where people have tried to do this before, it's airline people that have tried to create a holiday company. I think the different approach this time is that holiday people were sourced to work within an airline to set up a holiday company, because they are two very different things. The customer journey, it's not just the 2-hour flight. It's the 2-hour flight. It's the transfer to the hotel. It's the time they spend in the destination. So you cannot replicate those between the two separate businesses. They are very different and separate businesses. organically in traditional tour operators, certainly in the UK, they will grow a charter operation. This is not a charter operation, it's a scheduled operation. And I think that the growth that we have seen really has been built on the suppliers, the partnerships that we've created in the last 4 or 5 years, which is fortunate from we have a direct buying team of about 15 buyers, and they bring with them a lot of experience. We probably have the oldest buying team in the industry, but you know it's doing well for us. We have existing strong relationships with tourist boards, so all of that DNA of what a tour operator is, applying it within already what is a huge leisure network. That's how we've brought that together and made it work.
Cool. And is it more like, because you mentioned the holiday people coming to the airline industry, as I remember the airlines, I think in former times were probably too proud to say I'm selling holiday stuff. I remember Lufthansa was a business-driven airline, and now they're facing also much more on the tourism, on the leisure travel. Is it a kind of changing the model also for airlines?
Potentially. I mean, we've seen recently in the UK market the move by Ryanair, who have been very vocal about they're only interested in direct business, and literally over the last 4 weeks there's been significant changes in how they want to partner with the likes of OTAs. I think they've just announced a strategic alliance with TUI as well. So they see the value in that vertical integration. You know, why have the asset and not make the most money out that you can out of it? It just makes perfect sense. You make the most you can out of the assets you have.
Okay. Well, getting a little bit in the final round. So if we look in the future, and if we look to 2027, for example, I would like to start with Sabine. Where would you see the industry in the next few years, specifically also within your business model? Are you going to change entirely everything, or are you focusing on specific aspects? What do you think? What will happen? I mean, you are in an investment process, I guess.
That's another thing, yes. But now we are believing in the package to operating, and we focus further on in the package tours, but with special product segments. What's also important, it's a sustainable travel. We didn't talk about that. So it's very important for us as a volume to operating. We make 90%, we have 90% share in flights. So we have to find alternative models of travel, maybe like train. If you have no strike, it could be a good model. So, and other product segments. So, yeah, we have the challenge, a player got into the market like airlines or OTAs, so it's also a challenge for us to keep the right service and for our customers. And yes, we have still the pressure on margins. That is a topic we can't forget. And yeah, and we have also the risk of purchasing hotels and flights. But we believe still in package tours and with a cooperation with travel agencies. So we do a lot with travel agencies. We have a good program. We work very close together. And yeah, so we keep on doing that.
Good. Carl, you're also in a kind of M&A process, as I read. Where do you see FTI within the next 5 years? Do you see the total different business model, or is it more like more efficient? What are you focusing on?
I mean, first of all, for me, it's very important that we are there then with a customer-centric approach. That's very important. So the customer counts for all of us, and what's missing there. So if you look a bit in the statistics, of course, we need to have that very, very good relationships with the RTAs and the OTAs, but definitely we need to build up a bit our better channel to the BTC as well. We discussed about young people, look at TikTok, look at all the guys, have young kids. I always get used to using that with their help, of course. That is something where we need to be much stronger. So it can't be that we have that approach that we just rely on 2 channels. We need to rely on 3 channels. We need to be good there. We need to much more customer focused. Our supports to the customers needs to be more clear, precise, out of, I would say, a clearer brand strategy and not hundreds. If I'm traveling, or what I meet as FDI companies is quite interesting. So we need to streamline that a bit, more understandingful for the customer. And that is a bit the vision which I would have by 27. No matter what investor will be there and no matter who is leading the company 27, I mean, it's important that we get there, and that is something I share with everyone. I'm discussing a bit the strategy these days.
Thank you, Carl. Francis, from your perspective on the specialists, again, once more, what we've seen pre-COVID, there were so many small tour operators, also mainly focusing specialization. But where do you see your business within the next years?
I see it growing. I see, especially for us as a group, as in touristic, not just in the UK, but we already have very successful specialist businesses in other source markets like Switzerland, for example, Germany, and some within Eastern Europe. We see ourselves growing in the market. Is very much an ambition of ours to become the leading specialist business operator in Europe. I think we're on track to do that. We bought another business, as some of you may know, a villa business in the UK called Solma. We're still very much, on acquisition mode to see what businesses are out there that actually complement the businesses that we have. But we see that very much as part of the future.
Okay. And EasyJet Holidays, you can just give us a quick outlook on the German market about the competitors in the German market. How do you think they will do their business with the airline combination?
Well, I mean, I guess there's 2 aspects to it. One is we are already a good supplier, especially from Berlin, to our colleagues here in terms of seats. We have done a soft launch of an online distribution only of holidays in Germany, Basel, Geneva and France just before Christmas, and we'll see how those develop. So similar to the UK, but obviously the dynamics of those markets are quite different from the UK market in terms of distribution, but it's a similar story in the fact that we want to use those assets to make and enjoy the most we can in terms of those assets in those markets.
Thank you, everyone. So I think we made it on time. Thank you for your inputs. Thank you for the discussion, and have a great day on the ITB today and the next 2 days. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.